Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. It is Boxing Day and we are here to preview our upcoming fixture against West Ham. My name is Greg Elliott. I'm joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, Zach?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm hoping that today's game is actually worth watching. It's not. I don't know. We've had some weird Boxing Day games in the past. Obviously, last year was a bit of a highlight because we won by quite a lot. But that was also a time when it would have been the Russell Martin Derby, and that is something that is no longer part of our football club.
As you well know, Boxing Day tradition is for my family a big deal, and so my wife gets dragged down to the game as part of our tradition because she foolishly once made the argument to my sister-in-law that Boxing time was a time for family and we should be together. And Lou went, well, we're all going to be at the football, so I guess you'll come in too. And thus the tradition continues. So, yes, so it is a lovely day out for everyone. Last year was fantastic. If we can get even a hint of that today, I'll be over the moon. But it's on Prime Video, and the last time we were on Prime Video, well, it was a very wet.
Well, there was a fundamental shift in the way that, like, you know, the trajectory of the club at that point, it feels like. Plus, we got to miss, although I'm sure that I guess we'll find out, Greg, if the ridiculous amount of fireworks that happened the last game were all to do with, you know, Amazon as opposed to the club, or if we spent a ridiculous amount of money trying to promote ourselves on Amazon.
Well, look, I hope that the weather's not bad enough that it's going to be dark enough at 3:00 for us to find out that we're letting fireworks off, if I'm honest. But it will be interesting, that's for sure. So to break the fourth wall a little bit, we are recording this quite a bit ahead of time because festive periods and kids lead to busy times. But that means we haven't really had a press conference. We're not entirely sure if our work permit is going to be cleared, but it's reasonable, I think, to say that he's going to have a lot more control over what happens, whether he's technically able to work or not.
Well, we don't know how much control realistically he had at Fulham, because he seemed to be having a few conversations here and there about what was going on. So, you know, maybe he had more of a say than we thought. But shout out to Simon Russ for going completely undefeated in the Premier League.
Yeah,
what an incredible achievement! The only Saints manager to do so.
No goals though, just.
No, but who needs goals? I mean, it's more points than all of the other times we'd attempted to win and failed miserably. So swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting game. You're right. We're likely to see. It's very rarely a boring game against West Ham. The average goals per game is up near the 3. If we look at historic form, which I know you hate, but.
Last time I got caught out by it, didn't I? Because I was there like, I feel like Fulham's going to be this sort of game where maybe we win. And then what did I learn? Absolutely nothing. Like, it turns out that, you know, it was an absolute board draw, which was the same as every other Fulham game we've ever played. And now I'm the one who's looking a bit, you know, egg-faced, isn't it? So, yeah, if history says there's going to be lots of goals, let's hope for it.
It says that both teams to score happens approximately half the time. So
that's mad.
Yeah, some interesting reading. I don't know, mate. It's such a variable game, even if we were right in the thick of it, because West Ham is such an up and down team, and so it really depends which team of both of us shows up, doesn't it?
Well, like by now, our preview's out. Crossover is out in the world. This is the preview, but we kind of discussed that it, you know, I think Tom from the West Ham podcast was talking about how it's like, oh, well, on your day, you could turn up and just beat us. And it's like, well, yeah, but like that just doesn't really seem to happen much with Southampton. That's not a very Southampton thing to do, in my opinion. But stranger things have happened.
What I
but
neglected to point out in that episode is that Tom was like, yeah, I mean, it feels like you could just show up and beat us. And I'm like, yeah, but we've been thinking that every game for the last, I don't know, 7 games. Like, but maybe we'll just show up. And I don't know if I've got. I mean, by the time Boxing Day rolls around, I'm going to be full up of food and I'm going to be buzzing to get down to St Mary's. And we know that the process exists where I recover from the board draw and get back to full optimism the closer we get. So maybe I'm doing a disservice by recording this so early.
Well, it's going to be, for me, it's going to be difficult because my family. So as long-time listeners will know, my family start sport people. There's not a huge amount of sports people in my family. No one really. And when I say like sports, I mean like I had to explain what a few of the events were at the Olympics to my mum this year. It's like we're talking that level. So
I know she's jumping around like a kangaroo, but it is breakdancing.
Yeah, something like that. But because of that, it's going to be quite difficult because we usually have quite a full-on family Boxing Day, and I'm going to have to try and like sneakily put on Amazon Prime in the background like I did last year and try and get the game on. Which I'm sure will be easier this year because I can have the excuse of doing research for the podcast, and they'll probably all just be happy about it. That's fine.
Yeah,
but so it'll be good for me. But like, yeah, it is a weird one, and it's difficult to know what to expect because we don't really know how we're going to line up. These last 2 sort of games, apparently the players have had a bit of an input into how they've lined up. Likewise with who's been picked, and I imagine 3 games in or 3 days in, into his tenure. It might be the same Wednesday night, or it might be something completely different. It's difficult, but I'm excited to see how it goes. I feel like if getting a win against West Ham, it's, as they pointed out, it's nothing. It's a lot of the teams we're coming up against at the moment. Sort of, if they lose or draw against us, it's not the end of our season. Whereas for us, those 3 points, we don't know how vital they're going to end up being towards the end of the season. Alternatively, just to beat Derby's record at this point.
That's the first target. Look, I've got some opinions on. I've done some research into the sort of lineups that I think he tends to play, and I've got some controversial opinions about what I think he'll do. But also, I guess it's important to touch on the fact that either way, he's going to have had maximum 2 days with the team. So we can't judge this early on based on the reaction we get. We've got to give a bit of time to get bedded in. And this is such a busy fixture schedule coming up that I'm not sure we really, until maybe the end of January even, are going to start seeing the real new manager vibes coming through. But we will get to predicted lineups and the difficult part of it after a break and our first message from our partners over at Zencastr. So here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. Okay, so starting lineup, predicted lineups. How you vibing with it, Zach? Or are you feeling like it's really difficult to say?
It is difficult to say, but it depends if ultimately it depends whether or not we go sort of 3 at the back again, or we go back to a 4. And considering he wants a 3, I wouldn't. Why would you change Bednarek, Wood, and Taylor Harwood-Bellis if they managed to keep a clean sheet last time round?
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
I agree.
Ramsdale being the sticks, hopefully again, and hopefully he'll be distributing slightly better than he has been over the last little while. And then obviously it could end up being Kyle on the left again. Could be Sugawara or Brew on the right. That's pretty much what I'm seeing. So
yeah,
like,
I agree with
I act like it's really difficult to pick a lineup, but also when you start writing out
clean sheet,
it starts becoming its own thing.
Here's where my controversial opinions come into play, Zach, because here's what I think the rest of the team looks like. I think so. We've got 5, so we need 4 more. And I think we've got Matty Fernandez. I think we've got Big Les. I think we've got Toolpool. And I think we've got Cameron Archer.
Oh, do you think this isn't the way that the new manager likes to play with like a lone striker? So are you playing Paul, what is like a attacking midfielder?
Like a 10, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I mean, like we've been asking for it for ages. Maybe we get to see it, but
I mean,
dunno.
just think of the pure manpower in that midfield. Big Les and Tall Paul. Who's getting past that? We're never going to lose a header off of a goal kick ever again with those two in midfield.
I don't know. I saw Tall Paul try and take a couple of shots on and try and do a little couple of things with his head over the last 2 games, and it's not a strong point for a man that's that tall. I saw the grace of a bumbling giraffe, bless him. But like,
No, I think we're just as likely to see a Rebo in instead of Tall Paul, if I'm honest. But
yeah,
I think it's quite likely we don't see Dibbling start.
Yeah, you reckon? He's had to be fair, he's had a lot of minutes, and although to be fair, like some stats that I've seen knocking around about how many sort of young starters we had, like the season we had Livramento, he was like the first teenager to start 18 games in a row since Mika Richards, I think. It might be a stat that you have heard yesterday. If you haven't, then yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, so that's like what I mean. Like we've done things like this before, but like obviously we're trying to protect him as best we can. But I wonder if it will just be, for all we know, somebody could have a really good day in training and impress and get on the pitch because he doesn't know much about him. I don't know. Do we know what he's been like with youth in places he's gone? Because by the sounds of it, as you pointed out, he's very project oriented, doing a lot with a shoestring budget. If you're doing a lot with a shoestring budget, one of the things that I didn't point out on the West Ham crossover yesterday that I think was important to point out. So when we were back and forth about maybe what we were going to do in January, and Tom made the very eloquent point about wow, you could easily go and get a couple of players from the Championship that are ready to step up. And I know you've done it before, but maybe this is actually a good opportunity for you to take a little bit longer and pick somebody rather than do what we did last time round, which is scramble a load of players from wherever we could. The January transfer window that Nathan Jones was in charge. But one of the things that was key about the statement was about how we've got such a youth full squad, that an academy squad essentially that is ready to make the next step up. So I feel like they surely wouldn't have got a manager in without paying attention to the fact that there are talents they want to develop /sell, because let's not pretend that Sports Republic aren't very much about the money. So I'm wondering what his credentials will be when it comes to playing with the youth, and I guess he'll probably take some advice
history as a youth team coach.
That's what I mean, is that hopefully he can have a chat with Rusk and maybe they can see what sort of players they are thinking about.
Sort of fringe young players like Sam Omayor get a shot.
But we've even got players that are fringe, that are young, that we loaned out, like a Dozies at Anderlecht, a Champions League Belgian side. Shay Charles, I've seen, I don't know if you saw the Sheffield Wednesday GoFundMe to try and pay £15 million for Shay Charles, which is both hilarious, endearing, and tragic somehow all at the same time. Let's face it, we would probably do something like that. Once again, we never fall in love with a loan player. However, we have had players that we've sent out on loan. It's giving very, very Nathan Teller vibes, right? When Burnley tried to say that we needed to free him, so we did, to a club that went on to go unbeaten in the Bundesliga. So
yeah,
maybe I'm mugging people off a little too much there, but yeah, there are players that he's even got that we have that we could recall.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting January, that's for sure. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm going to be excited to see how it unfolds. I'm feeling positive about the acquisition. I think that he's proven he can do well on a shoestring budget, which is clearly what we need.
We all wanted something different, and he's something different. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, we got what we wanted. Yeah. He wasn't a Championship manager. He was someone different.
I presume that break clause works both ways in the 6 months of the 18-month contract. So I don't know. Look, I just want a bit of fight in the team. I don't think anyone's under the expectation that we are likely to stay up. I would love to see it, but I would be happy just to be back in the mix with a chance. That's all we can really, I think, aim for. Just get a bit of excitement back. Enjoy days out at St Mary's more rather than coming home in anguish.
I mean, I feel like that's always part of being a Saints fan, mate.
Yeah.
I remember once losing to Swansea and leaving, and I can't remember who I was with, decided to walk out early, so I kind of had to leave with them. And I was like, oh, then you had another go in, similar to back in Gerrard's playing days. I remember my friend Casey left slightly early to hear like another Liverpool goal go in, and that was very depressing. So I usually try my best not to, but honestly, I don't drive. I'm hoping to pass next year, but I don't really have much of a choice if my ride leaves, unless I want to catch a train home with a couple thousand people.
I've never left a Saints game early.
I'm very aware. As
Sucker for punishment, maybe as much as anything else. But...
Look, this is where I was trying to tell you about how Saints don't really have football manager moments apart from in the Championship, and even then, it's like, great, we managed to like win against the bottom side in the 93rd minute with a cross from Ryan Fraser. Like, good on us, but that's just not happening in the Premier League for us so far. But who knows? It might be happening against West Ham, mate.
So, all right, let's take our final break and then come back and have an in-detail look at the score predictions we've made and how we think we're going to get there.
The Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasting with dedicated daily content for every Premier League team, women's football, fantasy football, and a daily Premier League wrap-up, broadcasted in 5 different languages. This is your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find GSPN wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Okay, mate. Memory like a goldfish. So remind me what your prediction was much earlier in the week.
So I had 3-2 down, and I can explain a few reasons for that. And we always have sort of high scoring affairs with West Ham. Recently, we were able to keep a clean sheet against Fulham at the expense of firepower. If we have this new manager who wants us to be aggressive, sort of on the front foot, play a high press, you might have a few players that want to kind of put that level of shift in. As you said, you want to see some fight. And I think with that, we might manage to get, a goal or two and be really, really aggressive. But with that, we will also be defensively left at the back. And there's been a couple of times we've been able to get back really, really, really quick, but only 1 or 2 times over the space of the last couple of games. And that's because it's only been 1 or 2 times we've really had to. Whereas, with the sort of wingers that West Ham have, I think that they will be able to, overcome us on that. So that's kind of my explanation, is that I think, we'll finally get some goals, but then we'll open ourselves up at the back a little bit more. And that's kind of where I landed. And that's my thought process behind it. I'm completely happy to be wrong about this one. But, I've been right once recently, which was a 2-1 loss. And other than that, I don't really want to be right much more about anything that I predict that's a loss, but I'm always a bit more logical when it comes to picking how we're going to be and how we're going to play, as opposed to you, who I'm relatively sure said, 2-0, 2-1?
I said 3-1.
Okay, that makes more sense. 3-1.
3-1 Saints, because a clean sheet's too much to hope for, really. If we're being if we're scoring goals as well, we can't.
Scoring goals, it can't go the other way. Like that's just...
I think we'll go up early. I think that we'll go out wanting to be aggressive, wanting to. Juric made it clear in his welcome interview he wants the fans on side quickly. And what way can you do that rather than jumping out, getting maybe 2 goals quickly? And then I think we'll try and sit off of that and not do very well. I think we'll concede, and then at some point we'll get a third just to sit. I'm not going to say sit comfortably, because I don't think it's ever comfortable as a Saints fan.
No,
I don't think I've ever watched a game comfortably.
Even 5-0 up Boxing Day last year, no one was comfortable, because you just feel like, we've also had 5 goals go against us before. So,
but yeah, that's how it's going. I'd like. I think Archer will get a goal.
Yeah,
I've got to say that Ariba will get a goal, because my wife will be buzzing. That'll make her day. She doesn't care if we lose 6-1 as long as the goal we score is scored by Ariba.
Is that for the song? Or?
It's for the song, yeah.
Right, yeah, good, okay.
And why not? Let's give Tall Paul a goal. Let's get the atmosphere going. Let's make the place pop.
If he does go in January, I at the very least hope he manages to score for us.
At St Mary's.
At St Mary's specifically, because
the roof will come off.
That is so deserved for the amount of what I can only describe as insane support that he gets from our fan base. And I know that we've not been his biggest cheerleaders. There is still a lot of question marks for me and Greg on like what everyone else is seeing.
Look. with all Saints players, we have to be critical and analytical because we do this and we have to criticise. That doesn't mean that I don't want all of the Saints players to be the best players in the world, and so I don't see it with Tall Paul. But if he scores, I will be jumping up and celebrating with everybody else. I will be.
It's like almost like Gulli de Prado, except there is a lot of the Saints fan base that have gaslit themselves into thinking he is actually potentially one of the best strikers. And I think you've said after like a couple of the crossover episodes as well, you've had texts from some of our other illustrious colleagues at GSPN who've been like, yeah, I was watching that game and oh yeah, Tall. Like that tall fella, Tall Paul, you were calling him. He's something else, isn't he? And it's just kind of like, yeah, you can have him for 50 million. Like, that's no disrespect. It's nothing more that either me and Greg want than him to burst out and score a hat trick.
Turkey, so
yeah, that's what I mean. He's capable, but every time,
that's a quality league. Clearly, that's. Definitely.
Jose Mourinho's there, mate. There's quite a few players that are in the Turkish league that you would have never expected to be there. And it's not like it's got the money of the Saudi league either. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, a Tall Paul goal is something everyone wants to see.
Yeah,
completely and utterly. But
you know what? That's the perfect 1-2 hit in the first half, innit? Aribo and Tall Paul in the first 15 minutes. Just think of that atmosphere will carry us to full time because it will 100%. Be a party, a festive party,
regardless of whether or not the weather is horrific or whatever. I think everyone would be happy at that point. Plus, again, Amazon money, so maybe they'll even have another spare set of fireworks to set off.
Yeah.
Except remember, not any pyrotechnics in the crowd.
Yeah. Only for the photos that they use on the big screens from those big occasions.
Yeah, of course. Or the time that Chelsea beat us 5-1 at home for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mug Chelsea fans off too much. They're a significantly better team than us. But
I don't know, mate. Big teams love celebrating against us. Like 4 days before that, Mo Salah took his shirt off celebrating against us, which is laughable.
Well, look, when you beat the bottom in the league, there's just something special about it. It truly is just an extra 3 points towards your victory celebrations on your open top bus.
The parting words of Pep Guardiola before he decided to go on the biggest losing streak in history. I'm going to learn a lot from Russell Martin.
I will call out Saints fans and influencers all over the social media because I'm not going to lie, it's a meme that I see probably on a daily basis at this point. Anytime anything happens to City, it's all like, I will learn a lot from Russell Martin. I actually think it's as soon as Haaland cursed himself by telling Arteta to stay humble,
yeah,
which seems hilarious in hindsight because as somebody that was always kept the faith and kept Haaland in his FPL, what a complete waste of time that's been. Why I didn't just swap him out for Mo Salah a couple of weeks ago, I don't know. But hey,
someone who refused to put Haaland in his FPL from the very start, I feel that decision has been vindicated after what looked like it was going to be a very long season. So,
indeed.
But there we go. Right. I hope that you have all had a wonderful Christmas and are looking forward to this festive Boxing Day fixture. I hope that we leave with 3 points and our match review tomorrow is cheery and festive. And yeah, what more can we want? A Tall Paul goal and an Aribo goal, and we will sing our way through the next episode, no doubt. So that's the positive vibes we love to end on. Zach, as always, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. Give us a follow on all the socials. We're on Blue Sky and X and TikTok, he says in the truest knowing of ways.
You can tell out the two of us who does the social media.
And yeah, thank you very much everyone, and we will see you after the match.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Merry Boxing Day!